Look, Frozen.
Brexit.
Hello and welcome to Pardon the Interception, coming to you from season 33, week 5, with your host, week 6, week 5, week something.
We're nearly week 7, man.
Results from week 6 with your hosts, Leah Wood.
Nick Taylor.
Simon Wood.
Okay, so let's take a tour around the leagues this week and see if I can remember what on earth happened anywhere.
Lee loose with the facts of it.
Or we can just find out what happened. Ta-da!
So, looking around the GFL, the games of the week, actually some closer games this week in the GFL compared to last few weeks where there have been some blowouts. The Hawks Quake game was a big game, I believe, and if we look at the stand-ins, we can see that that was a divisional game, and was the difference between one team being 6-0 and the other being 5-1. So, looks like the Quake probably looking good to take the NFC West with that one. Simon, anything that jumps out of you from these results and stand-ins?
I'm not sure the Quake Hawk is as finished as say, although they don't have to play each other again. That was pretty close, right? So it could really go either way.
It's close, but I'm not sure how many teams I see standing in them to take the division.
Yeah, true. Although the divisional record will make it quite hard for the Quake to lose the division now.
Yes.
Like if they have to lose 2 games, so yeah.
Do they have to play each other again? I assume they do.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're a lock-in for number 1 seed or anything like that. I just think that they are taking the division.
They're probably 2 of the better teams from that side of the league, so you might see them both with deep run in the playoffs.
The Steelers, Thames Valley, what are their records like? Okay, so Thames Valley could have gone 4-2, which is respectable.
Well, it's pretty good performance against the Steelers.
Yeah.
As well.
That's why it sort of jumped out at me. So I think the number 1 seed in the NFC is looking like it's going to be the Steelers or Quake, and that's probably a bit of a coin flip at the minute for me.
Yeah, both teams have looked pretty good. And
the Quake play the Steelers, so we'll find out.
Okay.
That's week 8. So.
Okay, so not too far off then. That's going to be a huge game.
Yeah, that'll probably decide the number 1 seed.
Because if the Steelers lose that game, then they can probably rest week 9 and 10 and not have their playoff place affected too much. Whereas if the Quake lost it, because the Firebirds are only 2 games behind, but the Hawks only being a single game behind currently makes it closer, but the divisional record is kind of key.
Yeah, I mean, like Firebirds are 2 behind, but they've got a worse divisional record as well, which is like a 2.5 games behind, I guess.
Yeah. What other games sort of jump out? Mules, Pirates.
Yes.
It was a close game closer than we expected, I think.
I mean, Pirates were 2 and 3 getting into the week. So
yeah, but the Mules were 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, fairly close game.
We did have Gary Lyon doing his best Aaron Sanford impression.
Oh, if you look at the Hulk, they've not scored a single point this season. Yeah.
It's like, want to be Aaron.
Yeah. But they're battling out for the first seed in the draft, I imagine.
However,
how's the first win incentive going in this league?
However, what I can say is I'm pretty sure that Gary Lyon has more chest hair than Aaron.
How do you know for sure? Aaron's chest?
I mean, I haven't, but Gary's a very hairy man. First win incentive is
probably going to go to either the Hulk, the Blaze, the Breakers, the Witchcraft, or the Circle, I'd imagine. So probably one of them's going to win. Yeah. You'd imagine.
Yeah, the Emperors and the Goats are looking strong at the minute, but you do have some winless teams that can come through.
And one of them's got to have a game against another kind of crap team.
Without looking at the schedule, you'd expect one of those or two of those AFC teams to be playing each other potentially.
I would say probably. I think the Circle stand a better chance of winning a game out of these. I think.
Do you mean the City?
Yes,
The
sorry, the
Blaze have
City Circle.
Blaze do have a draw though, so
True.
to some extent. So interesting.
So I just throwing that random. I love the first win incident, but I don't know why. It's not. It's
And
great
then-
when you're not winning. It gives you something to hold on
Just-
to.
Just looking at the
Start every
playoff
season
picture,
1-1.
we can see that Mark Spencer still isn't actually allowed in the playoffs. I'm assuming
It's
that's
not-
because of off of the field activities.
It's not available.
So if the team make it, they're going to have to be coached in the playoffs by a different coach.
They're going to get a caretaker in. I think we should ask Rich and Rich.
I think it actually goes to a GM.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not really much has changed here since the last time we looked at it, I think.
No, those 4 teams have looked pretty solid throughout, haven't they?
Yeah. Anything else before we move on to the Atlantic?
It's good to see the Bulls still up there.
Yeah.
With their nice outside chance. And,
The
I mean, like,
splitter, Chris Ervice.
the AFC actually has 4, 5-1 teams there as well. So that looks a lot more open than the NFC.
Yeah. Great. So moving on to the Atlantic. And then let's open up some standards as well. Simon, what jumps out at you here?
My team finally showed that they are as shit as I've been saying they are.
I mean, within 14 points away to the Sharks, who apparently have plus 27 levels on every player at home.
Yeah, but it's what I expected.
Yeah,
They're a
Sharks
much
look
better
good
team.
though. I think in the CFC side of things, the Sharks look like the team to take on the Stingrays probably for the championship. I mean, we were all talking about the Stallions beforehand, but the Stingrays have been the team that have really kept going from the previous few seasons with their new coach, and they've beaten the Warriors again this week. So another good win for them. Big win, as I say, for the Sharks as well. Magpies beat me, so they're pretty close to locking up our division, which doesn't look too exciting this season.
I think the most interesting thing for the week was the Rapiers losing, because we all quite like the Rapiers.
Yeah,
They got smashed by the Spartans.
I mean, look, I think that just potentially shows like where those two teams are. Those two teams are potentially they must be 2 of the top 4 teams in the MFC. I mean, the Spitfires, I know they had an easier game against the Outlaws, but racked up 71 points this week, which takes some doing when we're done.
So the thing that counts against the Stingrays at the moment is they've got a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
So
I know that
might
feeling.
hinder them.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the picture is sort of like shaping itself quite well at the moment. I mean, like Bears Mariners. I know Lee, you're the Mariners coach, but that's a big win for the Bears away to
It's a
yourselves.
huge win, and the most annoying thing about that isn't actually the loss; it's how injured my team got in that game. But it's a rivalry game as well, so injuries are much more common. It could actually be the death knell of my season, the amount of injuries I picked up in that particular game. But we will see.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I
I got
know,
5
boo-hoo.
injuries this week. 5
Boo-hoo, I
injuries.
made the bowl last year, and this year I'm getting injuries.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
Nick has 21 levels of injuries and you have 17. Guess how many levels of injury I have on my team?
36,
No,
12 and a half.
no,
7,
no.
0.
69.
0. You're doing it all wrong. You need to get better luck.
Yeah.
I had that last year when I was making a run at the bowl, so I'm happier with that.
Yeah.
So, and then if we look at the playoff picture for the A, not too much. I mean, I'm still in an outside chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's-
you're like
it's
what,
a-
one game behind the Bears?
Yeah,
You got to play them again. I
I
think?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
The
actually
big
let's
change
have
is
a
the
look.
Spartans, isn't it? The Spartans winning that game. Going up to-
Yeah. I play the Bears week 9. I mean, we split the game seasons last year as well.
Look at your schedule. Like,
What mine?
yeah,
Nighthawks, Rapiers, Bears, Outlaws. So Outlaws should be a gimme.
Should be
Nighthawks,
Rapiers now though.
2 and
Huh?
2.
It's a Rapiers now, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Spartan you were just on before.
the big game there is the Bears game.
Brockton Bay Bears.
Yeah, they have a real awful schedule. That's Spartans and Spitfires, so they're there for the taking.
Oh, it's not impossible.
Well, they're going to lose 2 more games, right? Because they're definitely going to lose to the Spartans and the Spitfires. So
Yeah,
if you win
and
your game, against them, you're
and I've-
shooting.
Yeah, it
Probably
possibly comes down to what this week 9 game is.
I mean,
Um,
away to the Nighthawks isn't easy.
No, oh, it's not. That's what. Yeah. But yeah.
That's
I'm
that division. That
fairly-
division is
I'm
tough.
Fairly confident against the Nighthawks this year, but that was before my injury, so we'll see. The Rapier. I mean, 8 and 9 are the key weeks for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, Simon, you're still in with a shout here. Nick, I think
I'm
you're
well out of
not.
it.
Yeah,
I'd need to. I need the Magpies to lose the rest of the season. I think to have a chance. So.
and unfortunately, the coach we shall not name is possibly in with a chance of playoffs as well.
No, he's not going to make it. All the others
The Redcoats have looked a little bit weaker than previous seasons.
I think real life commitments might be curtailing his game plan time a little bit.
Yeah. I think like as the teams in the MFC are a lot stronger this season than they were last season. As you can see, the Spartans are well up there, the Rapiers are well up there. Blues have solidified themselves. I mean, Sonics are Sonics and Mariners, and even you see like the Meerkats are putting up some good scores. Like every team's pretty competitive over there, other than the Outlaws, I want to say. Yeah.
I don't really think the Razorbacks are that competitive this season, but they're not far off.
They're scoring points. I mean,
True.
They're not in triple figures for points difference or anything like that.
Yeah.
Every team's going to give you a game. So, yeah, I mean, like the MFC certainly tightened up this season. It's much closer. Like the CFC, the same as it pretty much always is. Every team's pretty much every team's in there or getting a win here and there, which is tough. I mean, CFC South and CFC West are the 2 big ones. I mean, you're going to see a lot of playoff teams coming from there. But like no game feels like a gimme other than like Outlaws this season. I feel.
Yeah,
The
that's fair.
Barbarians.
Possibly the Snowbears this season.
Even they have a win though. Right?
True.
I don't know who. Not 100% sure.
Let's
who they
actually
beat,
see
but
who it. If
Aztecs,
it was
maybe.
it was the Aztecs. Yeah.
But like they've got a top quality wide receiver there that can easily put up hundreds of yards against you. Barbarians are normally in most games. I know they're in 6, but they can put together some plays, much like Brighton and Chickerell. Chickerell are 1 and 5 with a points difference of -46. I mean, that shows you how close their games are.
They're not losing by much.
No.
What's the chance of the Wallies being in the divisional game?
The what?
Sharks Magpies, the Wallies.
The Sharks Magpies in the division. In the final?
How good are the Magpies? I guess is the real question.
I don't know. Like they didn't feel that much better than me this week. But then again, I mean, they picked up a big injury this week. Akers got injured. He's one of their 2 running backs. They're similar to me. They lack a bit of a passing game. So if you've got the tools to stop their running game, they struggle quite a bit. Like, I personally think the Stingrays are the team to beat, and it just depends on. I think it's going to come down to who has home field advantage out of Sharks and Stingrays.
I mean, anything can happen in the next 30 minutes.
Do either of them get home field advantage when it's in the sea?
What do you mean?
Sharks Stingrays, They're both at
I
home, right?
get what you mean now.
Um,
Well, yeah,
it depends on what type of shark
I guess
and
that's
what sea.
that went right over my head.
They're playing in a Dead Sea.
I mean, if the
Um,
sea's going right over your head, Nick, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I know. I guess it comes up with, stingrays and sharks would struggle in a swamp. So, maybe
Nice.
that's how the stallions get around it.
Yeah, I feel like the Sharks and Stingrays is better than everyone else. I think.
Anything else before we move on to the rivets?
Riveting league.
The Riveting League.
Okay. So on to the biggest skies. Unsurprisingly, the rivets won. The more surprising thing is it wasn't by as many points as I was possibly expecting.
A lot of points in the Buccaneers Sharks game. Is that Davies getting back on form?
Let's actually jump in and have a look, shall we? I mean, Sharks and Buccaneers have been battling out against each other for years.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
MVP.
Yeah, Davies
MVP.
deciding that he actually wants to turn up and play.
Yeah. When he gets going, the Buccaneers get going.
Fair.
Chief Pirate.
And then that does put the Buccaneers top of their division.
That is a close division, though.
It really is. The LFC West is insane.
4-2, 4-2, 3-2, 3-3.
Especially when you've got a 3-3 and a 4-2 both on the 2-1 record. So arguably Mount Dora Massive.
Well, it's 2-1, 1-2, 2-1, 1-2 as well.
Yeah. Like Mount Dora Massive could say are technically second place.
With a win, yeah.
They're joint second place because that divisional game means a lot.
Yeah. Once you look at the LFC above them, LFC South, above them, 4-2, 3-3, 3-3, 2-4.
Yeah.
I really like the Shadows, but the other teams are certainly not out of it in that.
I mean, Webster Super Weasels is just a fun name to say.
That is true.
The PFC North and the PFC West are quite similar, apart from the fact that you've got kind of two teams that are probably out of it. But they've got three teams in each where they're all in shout.
Yeah, the West looks really interesting with the Titans and the Bay Packers and the Stormers.
Yeah, three teams which have actually featured quite heavily on PTI before.
Did the Titans play the Bay Packers this week?
Let's go have a look. Yes, they did, and it was a 1-point game.
Oh, that's a big win.
It's a statement road win.
Yeah.
And people are battling it out to see who can lose to the Rivets in the playoffs. Is this where we want the injury gods to just absolutely kill the Rivets? That'd be quite nice, right?
I mean, yes, but I'm pretty sure his backups are still level 79 or something stupid.
In fact, the Buccaneers have quite an injury crisis at the moment. Just have a look. 21 levels of injuries on the Buccaneers. So
that's a lot
that might
of injuries.
Start to hurt.
Yeah. And the Shadows won very convincingly against the Super Weasels as well. 47-17.
The Newcastle Eagles won quite convincingly as well.
They've looked pretty good.
I think if anyone, this is the thing. Like, as much as we say the Rivets here, if you look at some of the other coaches in the PFC, Brad is no slouch.
That was great.
Yeah, and so's Andy Bates. So these coaches definitely have a track record that proves that they can compete with Conrad. It's just how long is it going to take them to get there?
Yeah, that's the tough part is once someone's ahead, you really need them to have almost like 2 or 3 seasons of like downswing aging to sort of.
I mean, because Brad was absolutely dominant with the Seattle Rogues in, I want to say it was the D that Brad was in, wasn't it? Or was it the C?
I recognise his names. It must have been the D.
No, it was the D. So I'm getting Brad and Arno Munch confused. But yeah, Brad was the Seattle Rogues.
The thing is with Brad, or with the Generals lost to the Bay Packers. and the Bay Packers have lost to the Titans, which might suggest that we're kind of overlooking the Titans a little bit.
I like the Titans.
They might actually be able to give the Rivets a run for their money. And they play.
They could. I jumped on the Generals and the Eagles mainly because I know the coaches better.
Oh yeah.
What's the Titans schedule like for us this season?
Let's have a butchers.
Oh,
Bulldogs,
Rivets. Rivets week 10. That could be for our home field advantage in the playoffs.
That could be for the number 1 seed.
Yeah, that is a big game. Big game. But Bay Packers into Rivets.
Because the Bay Packers, it could be a moot game.
I love that I've infected you two to call them the Bay Packers. It's great.
Are they not the Beverly Bay Packers?
They are.
Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's like the Green Bay Packers in the NFL play out of the town called Green.
But they play out of Hull, right? Because Beverly's a place in Hull.
Okay.
So it's the whole Bay Packers.
I actually think they just play out of some woman's garden.
Oh, cool, Beverly.
Yeah.
Beverly's back garden.
Yeah.
It's on the seafront as well. Nice little bay.
Yeah, I think it's actually in Western Supermare.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Big Sky not as boring as we thought potentially.
I think it's boring.
Just
It's
wait
just that
till
there is one team that seems to be head and shoulders above the rest of it. I mean, you look at the Longhorn Football Conference, and it's all to play for over there.
Mhm.
One team on 5-1, and then everyone else is 4-2 or worse. I mean, like anyone. Well, I'd say anyone. You know, within reason, anyone.
I mean,
make the
3-3 is not out at the minute. Like,
No.
there's 2 teams here on 3-3, but you can easily get into the playoffs from 3-3. I mean, you likely have to win out and have one loss come in any of these 4-2 teams, basically, which should happen.
The main thing is that the Soaring Giant Hornets and Tripson is up there in the number 1 seed position at the moment.
How did Tripson do this week?
I don't know.
Not that
Let's
great.
have a look.
Hello. Not great by his standards.
Did he
Only
not?
200 yards.
He ran the ball. What's that all about?
I know. What is that? 10 carries? Come on, Tripson.
203 yards.
I'm going to catch him.
That's a lot of yards for a running back receiving.
Yeah, but
They've got 2 running backs receiving. Look at that.
I know.
Guay.
Ballers.
Is that Rebecca Guay?
They've got a returner receiving as well. They've got it all.
Well, that's some next level stuff. That get the returner. Is that like 50% of their level or something?
I have no idea.
He must be a big returner.
Let's see if he came in on game over, shall we? He did, yeah.
Gumble, isn't it?
He came in on game over defense, a game
Tripson
over
get
offense.
injured.
I'm
Tripson get
going to
injured.
assume that over offense is a game over offense.
Wait, is Tripson injured?
Oh, we need to
Hang
know.
on, we're going to find out.
People need to know, Lee. It's got D.
Oh
Got
no.
D.
D.
So
You know
look at all
what
those
that,
attributes.
you know what the D stands for, right? He's got red zone grinder as well. Like,
Sticky
he
hands for
has
home street. Good.
he has
Ooh.
ridiculous running back attributes, and he's catching the ball.
His XP is 1.2 as well, plus 1.2.
The D, I
Ooh.
think, stands for season done.
Third best single season receiving record. Love it.
For a running back as well. That's just like,
Yeah, I hadn't noticed the attributes he's got because it's like, what? That's reduced that's the catching one and reduced fumbles from handoffs, I think, and
yeah.
red zone grind is the extra yardage in red zone. Sticky hands is reduced fumbles and tackles, and then home streak. Like, yeah,
What's his overall receiving like? His overall record.
like
Oh.
7,500 yards.
Nice.
Like,
That's nice.
he's only rushed for 1,300 yards.
Hall of Fame. You know, that's where he's going.
I mean, he is a Hall of Fame player. Like, these reception numbers are enough.
His top performance, he's got at least 5 over 300 receiving yards. Well, I assume receiving yards. Some of them might be rushing yards, I guess.
I mean, last season he had 24 touchdowns, so he's averaging 2.5 touchdowns a game.
He has 4 running touchdowns last season.
Yeah,
Boom. That's that red zone grinding going on.
pretty much. Yeah. Oh, right. Anything
Impressive.
else before we move on to the Continental?
Yeah, we should probably stop talking about trips and then do something.
I mean, we should never stop talking about trips.
Well, there is that.
The thing is, he is so against what you'd expect that he should be spoken about a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I love
So,
it.
what's been going on in the Continental?
Rumor has it that Anguta's injured.
What?
Rumour has
What? You're going to need to remind me who Anguta plays for.
The Badgers. Badgers. I mean, they did score 45 points this week, but
I forgot who Anguta played for.
you forgot who Strom played for. This is a disaster that you can't remember who Strom played for.
That was me with saying more of Stromwatch.
There's more
Yeah.
Strom watch. Yeah.
I mean, seeing more Stroms, never bad. Yeah, Anguta got an E-level injury. What week did he get it? He got it last week and we just
Yeah.
missed it. That's why.
Well, we did a bit of
I don't think we
an
missed it.
overview thing last week.
I think we did talk about it. I think
Okay.
it rings a bell.
But it doesn't look like it stopped them because Strom's still doing his stuff.
I mean, Strom is the key to the Badgers' success. It's a
I have-
known fact.
I've just noticed the Badgers Divisional Championship record. It's pretty ridiculous.
Is it like every year, pretty much?
Every year apart from season 21, where they obviously, had a bit of a down year. Must be an
There are a
old
lot.
division to play in.
Which
There's a
means
lot
that,
of close
given the
games.
new rules changes, they're going to start suffering from motivation in divisional games that you can't fix with a coach.
Mm.
There's a lot of close games this week, though.
Mm.
Highlanders win by 6 points. Bullets 3 points. Is it Venom 6 points? Destruction win by 6 points. Patriots 4 points. Spartans 3 points. A lot of close games.
What do the standings look like? The RFC East looks insanely close.
A lot of them look like even RFC North. I know they're all 2 and 4 underneath, but it doesn't take too much to get back from there.
UFC East.
Renegades, Bullets. That's a big one.
Yeah,
Renegades.
UFC East, UFC South.
Lots of some good.
There's a lot of open division there. Brooklyn Park Bombers look good. Thunderbirds always look good. Renegades look good. I know that sounds like the obvious because they're all 6-0, but
There's a reason that's it though.
yeah, I mean that Zulu Trojans battle in the UFC South is gonna rumble down to the line. I feel.
When do those guys play each other?
It'll be week 9 probably.
Week 9.
Well, they played this week.
Yeah, they played this week.
Yeah.
27-6.
Probably
That's a
shows the
big-
Trojans have the edge on them then, you'd imagine.
Yeah,
That scoreline.
yeah. I've been impressed with the Brooklyn Park Bombers. I mean, they've put up a lot of points this season in a lot of games. They looked very good. Thunderbirds always look good from memory, as do the Renegades.
It's how you,
Badgers, Privateers, Reavers. Be an interesting one. Though Privateers have quite the points difference there for 3 and 3.
Yeah, 3 and 3, 2 and 1 in the division, but minus 71 points differential
Yeah.
is an interesting stat line. Did they just
Yeah,
get 1 week of being absolutely stuffed?
Just this week.
Yeah,
It's a big one.
Badgers.
Yeah, and the others have been not too bad. Yeah, it probably shows that they're not quite there for taking on the division.
I mean, they were in the 77-74 match from week 4 as well.
The classic. Um,
No, the classics are in
looks-
the classics are in the UFC North.
the classics have looked good. Classics have
Mhm.
looked good. So,
They've lost to the Renegades only, I think. So
yeah, Renegades are tough.
the Renegades, yeah. Pretty
So
good.
having your only loss in the interconference game is always a bonus.
They
Yeah,
did-
they beat the Trojans as
Yeah.
well.
That's what I just saw.
Yeah.
Which shows, yeah. What intrigues me about the Trojans is they've given up so few points. Might
Good
show that
defense.
maybe they've got a pretty decent defense. Don't think they've just played crap teams, so might show they've got a defense better than everyone else.
I
Maybe.
mean, Dan knows what he's doing, right? What's the Trojan schedule look like this season? Westies, Classics, Spartans.
The Monarchs
Monarchs
pushed them close.
beat the Zulus. The Zulus was a key game.
Yeah.
Helped a little bit.
Yeah, the Monarchs. So once again, the interconference week is the only one that's got close, apart from the class. I mean, close and not beaten them. The Classics obviously beat them by 3, but
Probably could have gone out of the way. It's quite interesting.
Strong defense.
Mhm.
Defense.
Defense.
so playoff picture I think looks pretty much as we expect it to. 3-3 currently sneaking in the RFC. Be
Yeah, there's a
interested
big
to
gap
see.
between those top few, isn't there?
There's a big jump from 5th to 6th, so that last playoff space there is all to play for by probably most of the teams in that division, in that conference.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the C is that it looks like there's a lot of teams in that sort of top middle area who could beat the teams above them on their day, and it makes it quite interesting for those lower playoff spots.
Anything else before we move on to the Delta?
Nope.
So let's move on.
So I think the biggest thing from the Delta, from my perspective, is the fact that the flopperheads lost.
I knew where that was going as soon as you started the sentence.
I knew where that was going before I even started pressing the record button.
The Delta's also home to the better Spitfires.
I don't know too much about the Delta, but that Warriors Enigma game sort of stands out as two teams we've talked about last week or the week before, potentially.
Yeah, the Warriors are strong, and the Enigma are a team that
are an enigma.
Yeah, they are an enigma. Like they're 4-2
but
still.
yeah,
like, that division's the tightest it's been for a while.
Yeah,
It's
I mean that's a big
regularly
loss to the
tight.
Warriors. Then.
And it's going to get tighter because Grayson being at the Chaos is nothing but good news for them.
And that win for the Colts against the Copperheads is huge as well, right?
Huge, yeah.
Get a game ahead and better divisional record. How are Hornets and Metros? Are they?
They're both
in?
my division. They're both out of it.
Okay.
The most interesting game, in some ways, was Cyclones Venom. If you look at the divisional standings, it's quite an important game.
Yeah, because it puts you in with a chance. Because oddly, you're 3-3, but you have a better divisional record.
Wow.
Simon can only beat teams from inside the GFC North.
I mean, that's not a bad place to be, right?
Have you seen the teams I've played?
If you win your divisional games.
I lost to the Lone Stars and the Enigma, who are both, doing very well.
Never heard of them.
Some idiots from Jorvik.
Never heard of any of them.
Yeah, and the game against me was close as well. The Jorvik Jets.
They got absolutely demolished by the Lone Stars, but that's kind of to be expected.
Who doesn't get demolished by them?
My team's a bit rubbish. My division's a bit rubbish this year, to be honest.
Very winnable last 4 games, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've definitely got a shout. It comes down to that game in week 9 against the Cyclones for GFC North.
I know
Whoever makes it bombs out first round of the playoffs. But that's life.
We spoke last week about the Sunblazers Patriots, and I think this week's result basically gave us our answer there of the Sunblazers convincingly winning.
Well, we're at home.
Yeah. It's still 17 points at home.
Yeah.
It's a 3-score game.
Do you have the stats for that game?
I mean, I don't, but I can click this magic button.
There we go. They lost the turnover battle, and stats are pretty close actually. Overall, those turnovers might, without looking through the game. I mean, that's a huge first half.
Yeah, is that just the optimizer?
31. Yeah, 31-0 up at half time.
Yeah, the last touchdown did come within the last 6 minutes of the game, so it's not game over time quite yet.
Yeah, it'll be. Do they play again this season?
Probably. Let me have a look. Patriots.
Week 9.
Yeah, they do play week 9. So
you've got a chance to kind of claw it back.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
And then
Like,
the other
home. So.
The other thing that jumps out at me and was why the push this year by Deb at the Rogues. Rogues are
my
the
division was bad.
team.
Look at yours.
I know it's really bad.
There's a big line down the middle.
And their tie is literally against each other as well, which makes it even better. But yeah, I honestly don't know whether I can win this division this year. It's tough. I won the first game against the Rogues, and it wasn't the easiest I seem to remember as well. 21-23. And it's this week we play each other, and we'll see how that goes.
Katana, so.
Yeah, that's my saving grace is they've got to play the Katanas.
Yeah.
You do have the flopper heads in week 10 though.
I do, but well, I don't know. It's going to go one of two ways. Either Kendall's going to make it the hardest game for me, or Kendall's going to have thrown all of his toys out of the pram. You laugh, Simon, but you know.
QB?
Pardon?
Is he still playing an awful quarterback? Or
I don't think so. I think he's actually playing a proper QB now. He's playing Mulgrew. Let's have a look.
Yeah, he's playing a proper quarterback.
Yeah.
He's seen the error in his ways.
Apart from the face.
He was going for like a 30, 35, 35 quarterback, Nick. And trying to say that was the next best thing.
If you don't try it, you don't know.
True. He was telling everyone that, we'll see.
Yeah, but I know that cutting off a leg's a bad idea, but just because I'm not willing to try it.
There are different areas where you can try things out. A fantasy football game is fine. Cutting off your leg in real life, different thing completely.
I mean, it's like in the film The Waterboy, where the Dallas Cowboys experiment with putting their towel boy out, and it does not work out.
Is that who Kendall had at quarterback?
Yes.
Is that who the Robber Barons play at quarterback?
No, the Robber Barons actually play an accountant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you think the Cougars have a chance this year? With the Lone Stars and Katana.
The Cougars always have a chance.
They're one of those teams that are always great.
Eric's just has some form of lair that has supercomputer set up to crunch all of the numbers and things.
I thought the supercomputer is his glasses.
You need the supercomputer to crunch all your opponents, really.
The glasses are just the display that because there's no monitors on the computers. They are the front end. Yeah, he operates it with his eyes.
Okay.
It's basically the glasses from the Kingsman series. So if we look at the playoff picture, I don't think a huge amount has changed here.
Nope.
Mariners being in the 6th seed, I've been on saying that they'll be on the up for a while. I think Nathan was either trying to play down how quickly they were going to rise to a playoff worthy team, or didn't quite realise how far they'd come or how worse everyone else had got.
Yeah.
They've got to play Froome this week, so we'll find out a bit more about them. And then they've got to play you, so we'll find out even more.
Patriots dropped down a little bit. Rogue seems to have come up a little bit from memory. Enigma have down a little bit. They are being the Enigma.
The Warriors are guaranteed to be one of the wild cards.
Yeah.
There's going to be a fight for that last wild card spot. Which is
The only way the Warriors don't make a playoff spot is if they lose out.
Exactly. I can't see that happening.
It'd be pretty hard to do that from 5-1, I imagine.
Unless you're trying to do it intentionally.
Yeah.
Or you have some big injuries.
Like the Jolla, the Warriors, Enigma, they're all playing each other. They're in the same division, so that there's going to be a couple of losses there.
Yeah, the Warriors win against the Enigma is pretty big in that respect. Like, it puts the Enigma right on the back foot in terms of making the playoffs. They need everyone else to mess up.
Winning that convincingly at home this week does really probably cement the Warriors.
Yeah, that's a big win for them.
And the Robber Barons have to play the Warriors, so that kind of gives the Robber Barons a loss, I'd imagine. And they've also got to play the Cougars.
Yeah, Robber Barons have a tough schedule.
Yeah. I expect the Robber Barons to end in 6-4.
Does that mean the 3-3s have a good chance?
The 3-3s are English out.
It actually possibly means the Enigma might make. We might see 3 teams come through from the same. It's not impossible for 3 teams to make it from the La Jolla conference.
It's going to be interesting watching those 2 wild card spots in the D by the looks of things.
On both sides, the wild card spots are going to be really interesting. Apart from
on the other side, you've got 4 and 2 from 4th down to 8th. You know, that with Jets and Rogues, one of them will come through in that division, and then it's free for all thereafter.
Yep. Anything else before we move on to Nick's favourite league? We'll take that as a no. And Nick, take us away.
Another fantastic week in the Empire. Lots of interesting games this week in the Empire. Lions Russians was the first one that really sort of drew my attention, because the Lions have looked pretty good and the Russians have been a little bit like the Enigma. They win one week, lose another week, and you don't really know what you're going to get. So it was surprising to see the Lions lose, but not like hugely surprising, because I've seen the Russians win some games like that. Another big win for the Jaguars. Classic rumble in the jungle, Jaguars versus Tigers. And the Jaguars came out with a 1-point win there. Gets them back on track after their loss. Solid wins for the Red Bulls again, and the Jacksonville High Hunters, teams you'd expect to be winning. Thundering Herd didn't have too many points in their game, so I know last season it was the guaranteed game to go to for points, but not necessarily this season. They're looking pretty solid though, going forward. I say like one of the games one of the games I was interested in before the start of the week was the Romford Rough Rangers and the District 12 Storm, 2 teams that have been up there this season, and the District 12 Storm have won very convincingly this week. So and the Kings are back with a big 49-10 win.
So I know historically, when we've got towards the end of the season, before we've looked at the standings for the E to work off the playoff picture, we've had to more or less include the entire league standings.
Last season was epic, I have to say.
It looks, whilst it looks still very, very competitive, it looks a little more like it's settling out this year into a slightly smaller run for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. there's a lot fewer teams in each division. I mean that could, I mean with only 2 games between top and third in some of them, that can change quite quickly. But yeah, we're looking at the Evergreen, Jacksonville High Hunters, Birmingham Red Bulls, Armageddon Kings. Those 3 teams are always up there. Bounty have looked very good. Districts 12 Storm, big win against the Romford Rough Rangers this week, as I mentioned. And the North Wales Jaguars, they're back on track. So yeah, we sort of got that picture of the teams at the top of each division are looking pretty strong. I'd say the BFC West is the closest thing. The Russians beating the Lions there brings them right back into it. They've got a 3-0 record in divisional games, which is quite nice for them. After the Lions have looked fairly comfortable recently, I'd imagine the wild card spots are a lot more interesting. You'd think the Rogues probably, well, whoever finishes second out, the Rogues and Kings, you'd think they'd probably lock up a wild card spot. And the Romford Rough Rangers are the team, in the driving seat there, but they've lost the last 2 games, I want to say. So
it's their wild card slot to lose, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot more clear cut than last year, but still a lot to play for, of course.
You see, the interesting thing that I've noticed is that the Storm have played and beaten 2 of the better teams on that side of the division. We played the Rough Rangers and beat them, and the Bounty and beat them.
Yeah, the Storm have looked very good on that side of things. I can't remember who the Kings lost to, but that blip made them look vulnerable, whereas the Storm have looked, the Storm only conceded 55 points but scored over 200, shows that they should be good defensively and offensively, whereas the Kings have conceded twice as many points. Although the Bounty have only conceded 49 points. So yeah, those 3 teams do look standouts, and I think you guys have mentioned the Rogues as sort of a rogue outside chance of doing something, and they've stuck around every week, so it'd be interesting to keep an eye on the Rogues.
Quite like Wabatonga.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the playoff picture.
They get beaten by the Kings though, right?
Yeah, I mean, then maybe they're not quite there this season.
Randy, why couldn't you win?
He's still there. He's only 1 game back.
I think Bill Bushby has the best name.
What's that?
Bill Bushby has the best name on that list for me. It's a great name.
Yeah. Yeah, the picture looked pretty much the same as when we last looked at it, I want to say.
I think the big difference is we've had the Storm Rough Rangers question answered.
Yeah, definitely. Storm have definitely come through that one. Lions have managed to keep their top spot in that division as well. All comes down to the wild cards, I think. Whether the Rough Rangers are in 3-4 or whether they just had a couple of bad games recently. I feel like maybe the latter, but yeah, like those bottom few spots in the wild cards places are definitely up for grabs.
Okay. So that brings us to the end. I still haven't had a chance to go back through our week 4.5 and actually write our bowl predictions down.
Disgusting.
If any of our listeners wants to do it in the comment for us, that would be most appreciated.
You're such a lazy bum.
I'll do it this week. Don't worry, I'll get it done this week.
Anything else, guys, before we come to a close?
Good luck, have fun, and hope you don't have as many injuries as I have right now.
And unless you're the rivets, and then 30 levels this week, please.
Okay, with that, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.